Alright, so today we're going to be doing a little review of the new Lenovo Yoga laptop, which as you can see is very sexy. If you haven't been into Best Buy to test drive one of these models, I would suggest it. That's really when I knew that I wanted to have this computer, was just by holding it in my hands and getting a feel for how the interface behaves, how the screen behaves. To give you an idea of where I came from for my previous computer, this is my old laptop. This is a Panasonic. It does have touchscreen actually. I'm personally a huge fan of touchscreen. I like having the option of having that interface. And this, I mean, it doesn't work as good obviously as the IdeaPad. I mean, it kind of works when it wants to, really. And my desktop computer is also touchscreen as well. I have Windows 7 on here, but same kind of idea. And I do use this quite a bit, and it's got the pinch zoom and all the basic features. So when I saw this on this new laptop, I knew that this is going to be a game changer. The problem is there's a lot of issues with this laptop, and I've had it now for about 3 weeks. And so I'm going to be going through some of the problems that I've had with the laptop. I'm going to actually return it probably either today or tomorrow at Best Buy. Really the only reason that I bought the computer in the first place was because I knew that I would have a 30-day return period, and actually because I bought this under my brother's Reward Zone card. He has Reward Zone Premium, so I actually get a 60-day return policy. So I knew that I could pretty much test drive this thing risk-free, which is what I've been doing for the last 3 weeks. And I just woke it up from sleep right now, and I'm having some problems with it. It's not... I don't know what the hell's wrong with it. I guess I need to restart, and like none of the apps are opening for some reason. That's really when I've had a lot of problems with this computer, is whenever I wake it up, Windows just does not behave like it should. And earlier I was trying to Skype with somebody, and it still says that he's calling, my buddy's calling, which he's not, obviously. And I can't get rid of that. I don't know why that won't go away. And I can tell you the Skype application is hit or miss. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I was having problems answering a call that was incoming. I'd keep clicking pick up the call and it would never pick up until I restarted the computer. So I guess I'm going to have to restart since it's not working. Hold on 1 second. It should be fairly quick on this puppy. Power restart. It's probably going to force me to do a Windows update, actually. That's one of the issues that really pisses me off about the new Windows, is every time you restart it, even if you're restarting it because you have to restart because something froze, it forces you to go through these updates. And instead of taking 6 seconds to boot up, it really ends up taking a couple minutes because you're forced to sit through these updates and you can't skip them. I mean, you could probably disable the updates. It didn't actually do it this time, but it was doing it earlier. And it was actually failing the update. I guess there's something wrong with the most recent update. So obviously if you're looking at this computer, then you know that it has this ability to flip back, and that really drew me into this computer. I think the Hinge idea is brilliant. Whoever thought that up, really smart idea, and hopefully we'll see more computers coming out with this ability to flip around and such, although I don't know if we will because this Hinge design is patented. I mean, we might see similar computers with a different hinge design that can do the same thing. Sorry, I'm kind of doing this review on the floor. You can see the startup time is pretty quick, actually. Let's go into Internet Explorer. And you can really put whatever you want on this home screen. I mean, I have a link to Facebook, even though there is no actual Facebook app for Windows 8 yet. But you can just create a shortcut to your... you just create a shortcut to the web page. And I can tell you the Facebook experience on this thing is pretty good. If you're big into using Facebook, it doesn't get much better than this. I mean, really smooth, very responsive for the most part. Although sometimes I've had issues where like I'll click on a button and it won't do anything, and I'll have to open it in a regular browser, or I'll have to switch to using the touchpad to get it to work. But for the most part, if you're a big Facebook user, this computer is for you. If you want to spend $1,000 so you can use Facebook, that's great. You can do that. Go home. One thing you'll notice, of course, is that the keys are not backlit, which you've probably seen a lot of criticism for online. And it is really a big drawback, I think. What really annoys me is that this button here is not backlit, because when you're using the computer at night and you want to get to this Metro screen real quick, sometimes I'm fumbling around pushing down here. Oops, I pushed something. Just trying to get the interface to come up, and I'm just kind of pressing on the screen here. And it is really hard to see at night. I didn't really have the issue with my old laptop, because my old laptop had light gray keys, so you can see these keys much better at night versus this. So I think that's a big drawback. The keyboard feels smushy. It doesn't really, I don't know, it doesn't, I've had it for 3 weeks now, so I've tried typing a few things on it, but for the most part I really don't like using it. It doesn't feel very well constructed, and you can hear, whenever you touch the top row of keys, you can hear like metal touching metal. So, and it's been loose like that since I got the computer, so obviously just some kind of manufacturing issues. You still have your traditional Windows desktop, obviously. You'll notice everything's really big on mine, and that's because I went into the settings and jacked up the DPI to 150%, because if you just have the DPI set on 100% with this resolution screen, everything is so small. It's not only too small to read, but it's too small to really use the touch interface in desktop mode. And you're probably saying, well, I'm not going to hardly use desktop mode because I've got the Metro UI. But there's a lot of things that you can't do with the Metro UI that you're forced to use the desktop for. For example, anytime you want to adjust something in the control panel, you've got to do it through this, because say you want to turn on your Bluetooth through the Metro UI. You swipe over here, you do search. If you type in Bluetooth, you're not going to get any results. If you want to adjust your background, your wallpaper, you can search for wallpaper. You're not going to get any results. I mean, this is not a fully inclusive search the way that the search was on Windows 7. You're forced to use the desktop mode, and I really would suggest switching your DPI to 150%, because makes things much more readable, especially when you're trying to go through the hard drive contents. There's really no folder viewing mode in the Metro UI. You pretty much have to use the traditional Windows Explorer, which is what this is, and go through the folders. And one of the problems that I have with this interface, and this has been a problem since Windows 7, is that you can make these icons really big. You can make them huge, actually. But you'll notice the font never gets any bigger. So you can't, say you're plugging this into your big screen TV and you sit on the couch and use this computer, you can make these folders as big as you want. You're not going to be able to read the font any better, and I think that's really annoying. Let me see what else. The audio on this computer, I didn't really test it in the store because I couldn't. The internet connection in Best Buy was really bad for some reason, and I could not get much to work on here. I do have Spotify, and I'll just show you that real quick. Unfortunately, Spotify doesn't have a Windows 8 app yet, which is really surprising. Hopefully they will. And I guess it just takes a while to start. I think it's opening. It's kind of hard to tell when something's opening. Oh, I guess I opened 4 of them, or 2 of them. And because it doesn't have a Windows 8 application, you basically have to use the trackpad to interact with it. I mean, you can try. You can't scroll by going like this. You'll see what's happening is it's trying to drag my file around. You can try to grab this tiny little scroll bar. I mean, you can kind of do it, but it's really finicky. Let's see if it works now. There we go. The speakers suck on this thing. I mean, they're really the worst out of any laptop that I've ever had, which really surprised me because on the outside of the box there's this little Dolby logo. I don't know if you can see that, but it's, after owning this computer, the name Dolby means nothing to me now because this computer has really terrible audio. The speakers are actually behind the keyboard, which is kind of a unique design. And that's a smart idea because when you fold it in these other orientations, I mean, this one it's really not a good idea because it makes it a lot quieter because the sound is basically projecting into whatever surface you have the computer on. But it works. It's good in tablet mode because it's coming out the back, and it does have a somewhat decent stereo field effect. I mean, there's 2 speakers there. My old laptop only had 1 speaker, so And it does come with this little Dolby equalizer thing, which I put a shortcut to on my desktop because I'm constantly dicking around with it. And it takes a while to open for some reason, so we'll just wait. It's basically a software equalizer, so you can kind of tinker with the sound a little bit and make it sound better, but it causes a lot of distortion because I'm not really sure why. I don't know if it's the amplifier in this computer or if it's the interface. But you can make like customized little equalizers. You can make it pretty loud. Personally, I like this one. Take some of the high-pitched noise out of it. And I notice too, if I plug in headphones, it gets really distorted really easily, even if you hardly touch the equalizer. Like even if you just have it set on flat like this, it gets distorted in your headphones and it doesn't get very loud. I was really disappointed with the audio on the computer. I was hoping it would be better, considering that the screen is gorgeous. I mean, the screen on this computer blows away any of the other Ultrabooks that I've looked at. The IPS display is just fantastic. The contrast is great. It doesn't produce too much glare. The touch is very responsive. I was having for a while a few issues with the touch screen not responding when I would wake the computer up. There is a fix for that you have to manually change the settings on yourself. But once you get that fixed, it's much more responsive. I mean, it's just as good as the iPad or the iPhone, what have you.